why we need insurance. So we've already seen the different types of risk and what is risk. So coming to this, the different ways of managing risk, of course you can do it yourself, you can depend on your family and you can depend on your social network or your community, but sometimes that is not enough. Sometimes you need a much larger database, so you need probably a social insurance scheme where you have a lot more members. To take examples, so we have idiosyncratic risks which affect a single person or just a few people, like illness or disability or crime, which will just affect a few people. On the other hand, as you move this side, the number of people that are affected by the risk goes on increasing. So what we can see is that informal risk management methods like going to your family or going to your friends for help, that can probably take care of risk like illness or crime, but it cannot take care of a risk like an earthquake where everyone is affected, so you cannot really go to anyone for help. So we come to what does insurance do and how does insurance function. So as an individual, I do not know when I'm going to fall ill and how much I'm going to spend on my health care, but an insurance company has a lot of statistical data. So they know that in this city we have a lot of people in the, let's say, 25 to 30 age group. So these people have so and so risk of being susceptible to an illness, or in this age group people have this probability of catching some illness. So based on this statistical data, they can predict what is the healthcare expenditure. So we come to what is insurance. It's a very simple concept. It's a contract where a person pays a premium, which is just a small amount of money, and in this way he transfers his financial risk. So when he falls sick or when he has a problem, the insurer, which could be a public institution or it could be a private company, they pay the financial losses which are suffered by the person. So that those financial losses are called indemnity. So we say that the person who has purchased insurance is now indemnified against risk. So just a small exercise for you. We have a case of Kate who has a rare illness, and there's a 40% or a 0.4 probability that she falls ill every year. And in that case, she has to go to a doctor, and she has to visit the doctor every 3 months, so it's 4 times a year. And she pays $30 to the doctor every year. So can anyone say how you calculate the premium, the health insurance premium for Kate? Yeah, can you just say the formula or what you think should be the formula for premium? Okay, we have the formula.
Yes.
So we have the probability of illness, which is 40% or 0.4, and the number of times that Kate utilizes the services, or the number of times she visits the doctor in a year, is 4 times, and the cost of every time she visits the doctor, she has to pay $30. So it's just 0.4 into 4 into $30. So this is a very simplistic way of seeing how health insurance premium is calculated. So what does insurance do? Insurance just collects all the risk in a community or in a society and puts them into a single pool of risk. So in this pool you have the risk, the health risk of each and every person in the huge society. Based on the law of large numbers, it is able to predict what is the healthcare expenditure of a single individual. Now how does it do that? We have this graph. Now, as you can see, the blue dots represent the health risk of different people in the 45-year-old age bracket. Now, you do not know which of those 5 people you are, and the insurance company does not know either which of those 5 people you are. But they know that the average risk of all 45-year-olds in a big community is always at the red spot. So if an insurance company has an insurance company or any insurance provider has a lot of members, then they know that the average health risk of all 45-year-olds in that particular group of people will always be there. So in that way, they can predict what is the healthcare expenditure. And a practical example, we have the healthcare expenditure curve of Thailand in 2010. So on the horizontal axis, we have the age, and on the vertical axis, we have the healthcare expenditure. So as you can see, at the age of 0, it starts declining, and then it slowly increases.
So now that we come to the challenges that insurance can face. So what is asymmetry of information? In real life, we don't have all actors, and in insurance markets above all, they don't have the same level of information. So in health insurance markets, the buyers of the insurance, they know more about their own health problem than the insurer, and they can have an incentive to hide, for example, a very hard family background, because they know that if they say, oh, okay, let's say my father has cancer, my grandfather has cancer, maybe they will have to pay a higher premium based on their risk. So they will have this incentive to hide their health problem. So we will see what this asymmetry of information can entail in terms of challenges. We will see two different situations, and we will try to identify together what is the situation, what's the name for it, and what it can lead to. So what do you think that this situation represents? What could be the name for it, and what problems can it lead to? Or maybe you could just try to say what consequences can have this situation for a health insurance, from a health insurance point of view. For example, let's say that everybody is doing the same thing. Many people join a health insurance just before they have this very heavy surgery. What is the consequence for the insurer?
Buried under the ground.
Not good? Why? Why? Can you explain, yes?
The premium will be higher the next time that they do.
Yeah, so this kind of situation, it's when a person is a very high-risk person and he or she will join, he will subscribe to an insurance group of lower risk to secure a low premium. But in fact, if everybody do the same thing, you're right, the premium will be higher. And then there will just be bad risk people who will join this scheme because the premium will be very high. So if you know that you don't think you will have any health trouble in your life, you will never join this insurance. So yeah, then there will be just bad risk people in this insurance, and there will be a loss for the insurer. So this is called adverse selection. When these people of very high risk join a health insurance group of lower risk people.
Can I add one point?
Yes.
It's just to point out that when insurance schemes are voluntary, and that's common in, for example, community-based health insurance schemes and other types of schemes that are not compulsory. The risk is that you have all the people with diseases, and you end up with probably an unsustainable scheme.
You mean when the scheme is not compulsory?
When it's not compulsory, because what you have is adverse selection. So if I'm sick, I know I need health care, so I'll join. And then if everybody who does that, you cannot spread your risk between the sick and healthy. So if everybody is sick, you're spreading the risk among the sick. So it is a big problem.
So that's actually one part of the conclusion of this example. No, but it's very good. So that can show the importance of having compulsory schemes, because with compulsory schemes you don't face this kind of adverse selection challenge. So another situation, we have Mrs. John, who she didn't go to the doctor very often because she thought she could not afford the fees. But now she has a good job, she has a very good insurance. So let's say that if she has, well, we will not take this, this example, but let's say that she has a minor skin problem, then she will go and see maybe 4 different skin doctors because she knows that anyway she will get covered for these fees. So what problem can it entail, and what is this? Maybe you know the name of this situation.
Overconsumption.
Okay, so overconsumption is part of this, yeah. So the name of the situation is moral hazard. So it's when people are insured, they tend to use, it's basically overconsumption. They will tend to use more healthcare because they know that they are insured. And it can also refer to overprescription from healthcare providers. So they will prescribe a lot of medication, which are not very necessary. And it can also refer to people who will take more risks because they know that they are insured.